This is Nitha Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 671 with Super Bowl champ Ryan Harris from the Denver Broncos. Obviously, he played at Notre Dame in college football. And I'm joined with my friends Tommy and Lane. They have their own podcast. They do a great job. So I just want to say thank to them for joining this interview too. But Ryan, first of all, how are you and your family doing so far? Obviously, we're in the new year. Hopefully, some positive news comes out here.
Yeah, it's been a unique year, and my thoughts are with everybody who's lost a loved one. An extraordinary amount of people have been lost, many more affected, and so I'm lucky, I'm blessed, I'm grateful. Home here in Denver with my family, loving life, and my two oldest are back in elementary school, so things are looking up for us.
Oh, nice. So, Lane, you want to start off first?
Sure. Ryan, you obviously were a four-year starter at Notre Dame. What was the main factor that made you want to go to Notre Dame?
It's a great question, Lane. I wanted to compete off the field as much as I wanted to compete on the field. I wanted to be the best and go against the best in football. And I also want to do that in the classroom. And Notre Dame gave me the only opportunity to do that. Notre Dame's the only school where you're going to play a Clemson and a USC scheduled in a year, or you're going to play in Alabama, a USC, Michigan, USC, and that willingness to enter that space, that's what people miss about what endears Notre Dame to athletes. Notre Dame wants to be great. Being in a conference that limits your options. Notre Dame wants to travel to Ireland for a game and then play at Lambeau Field and then play in Los Angeles. And that's a different type of athlete that wants that pressure, that wants to go to class, that wants to succeed in both. And I can tell you, as a Super Bowl champion, it helped me become, even all of my work off the field, helped me become a better player, because you have to study in the NFL. You spend three times more, three times as much time in the classroom as you do on the field. And so that's why Notre Dame guys always go to the NFL and stay in the NFL for as long as they want in their career.
Yeah, I mean, you see guys like Quentin Nelson, Mike McGlinchey, offensive lineman from Notre Dame. I mean, just driving in the NFL right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're O-line U, Ronnie Staley, and that
Zach
goes
Martin.
all the way back,
Zach Martin too in Dallas.
Yep, Luke Pettigrew, Zach Martin, Aaron Taylor just got announced. He'll be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. Andy Heck, who's also the offensive line coach of the Kansas City Chiefs now. You learn if you start at Notre Dame, you can play in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure. Tommy, you want to go next, and then?
Yeah, I'll go next. So Ryan, appreciate you coming on here. Who's been one of your big influences, you as an former NFL star? Who was one of your influences, role models you looked up to get to that point, and what goals did you have towards your NFL career, your successful NFL career?
Well, I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota, God's country. And fortunately for us, I grew up with Dave Winfield as the ultimate, Dave Winfield made it possible. Hall of Fame baseball player and just an incredible person, fantastic. He's a best-selling author too. So I was around where I'm from is all about, reaching new heights. And so we had Dave Winfield. I played with Joe Mauer, and that really opened my eyes. So, I mean, I just was exposed. Matt Burke was a huge influence on me. He was a big kid. He was a big kid who went to Harvard from my high school and then played for the Minnesota Vikings. So I know from experience how much it means just to see someone from where we're from or who looks like us that does great things, that it's possible for us as well. And those three, Dave Winfield, Matt Burke and Joe Mauer really kind of opened the window to the world. And then I also got to meet Kirby Puckett. So I was in this really cool world where everybody encouraged you to be your best.
Wow. All Minnesota legends right there. That's awesome. So I got to ask you this. So throughout your career, before heading into college and NFL, did you get to play multiple positions in football, or before settling on offensive tackle?
Well, I still maintain I'd have been an all-pro tight end, but the first day we put pads on at practice, my coach put me in as an offensive lineman. So I played right and left tackle. I played right tackle for a year at Notre Dame, and then 3 years of left tackle, and did both in the NFL. So, to me, I just wanted to be excellent at my craft so I could help my team win.
All right. Lane, yeah, we'll go back to you in rotation.
So, Ryan, who was your favorite player growing up, and who did you try to always model your game after?
My favorite player was a guy named John Randall. He would paint his face black.
Yeah.
He was always talking trash, and he was undersized, and he was undersized and overlooked.
Rufus.
And he's just and then I've gotten to meet him, actually golf with him, and he's just an incredible player. And then when I was in college, I watched a lot of film on Matt Light. I thought he was an excellent tackle for the Patriots. I believe he's a 3-time, if not 4-time world champion.
Yeah.
And he was just a technician who played hard, and I wanted to be like that in the NFL.
Okay. Ryan, what was your training schedule like? A lot of people don't know the background about, playing college ball and also the NFL's wise. What was your background and training schedule like that people didn't know about?
Yeah, well, in college, usually it would be either a 6 a.m. lift or a 7 a.m. lift, class by 8:30 or 9, depending on the day, class until 2 p.m., and then practice from, meetings from 2:30 to 4, and then practice from 4 to 6 or 4 to 6:30. Then you rush to the dining hall. I know kids have training tables now, but I would literally eat from 7 to 7:30, and I'd be doing homework from 7:30 to sometimes midnight or beyond. So I tell people college was so hard, I'll never do it again. You know what I mean? But and then in the pros, that work became different, right? So in the NFL, usually there's an 8 a.m. team meeting. That means there's a 7 a.m. lift, but I'm there at 6:30, changed up, making sure that I'm looking at some film before we go to the lift, and we go lift from 7 to 7:45, eat breakfast 7:45 to 8, team meeting, and then you're really in meetings until 11. You practice from anywhere from 11:30 or 12 to 2, meetings from 3 to 6, sometimes 6:30. Or on good teams I was on with great head coaches, the meetings would be done at 3:45, but I would stay and watch extra film, and take care of my body, jump in a hot tub, jump in a cold tub, because body maintenance is really huge in the NFL. Self-care is huge for all of us, no matter what we do. But you have to put in the work to be successful, and that's what the NFL is all about.
Mm-hmm. So take me back to your draft experience, and what was that like when you got the call from the Denver Broncos and waiting and spending time with your family, waiting for your name to get called, and finally got called with the Broncos. And then obviously you played with a lot of teams in your career, but what was it like just playing with the Denver Broncos 3 times in your career and winning that Super Bowl? But just take me back to the draft experience.
Yeah, well, getting drafted, it just felt like God reached into my life and said, "Here you go. Here's a gift." And I was at draft. The first round went for like 2 hours. They changed it after that. And so I was watching the Godfather's movies, and after the second Godfather movie, I wasn't drafted yet. So I had a neighbor coming in, I've never met before and never seen since, asking, "Hey, did anything happen yet?" So I finally just left to go to a Dairy Queen to get some ice cream. And as I was walking, I got a call from my agent, and he said, "Hey, the Broncos are going to take you at the 71st pick. You're going to get a call from Mike Shanahan as soon as we hang up." And it was a whirlwind of emotions and joy. And my grandparents were there. My uncles were there. My family was there. My friends were there. It was amazing. It was amazing. And to be drafted to Denver and then come back and win a championship with Denver, Denver is my home, and it gave me opportunity. And it means the world to me to be able to validate the people who drafted me that I helped win a championship here.
Yeah, sure. And that's obviously awesome, your draft story. But what was it like winning a Super Bowl? Was it just like you're in shock like the whole night, or was it just like, wow, like I'm a Super Bowl champion?
Well, you're definitely in shock, and it's longer than a night. I think for me, I was in shock for a solid week, because things happen really fast. I think things happen really fast, immediately I felt sadness, which was a surprise to me because I spent so much time with these guys, and we'd had so much fun and built such an amazing team together. And we all knew it was over, right? Free agency, retirement, we weren't all going to be there and have the same, run. And I can tell you, when you win the Super Bowl, everything you believe about yourself comes true for other people. You know, I sacrificed a lot. You know, I sacrificed hanging out. I sacrificed, you know, time where I could just rest and watch television versus going to get a yoga class. And what I loved is I don't know if the 18-400s that I ran at 15 was the difference, or the extra yoga and meditation I got in when we were in the Super Bowl was the difference. I do know my mindset and our mindset as a team was all the difference. You know, there's 1,600 football players in the NFL this year,
right,
and only 53 are going to be champions. And it's because they look, sound, and are willing to do different things. And but I'll tell you, you win the Super Bowl, and you know, there's confetti everywhere. Your family's on the field, your friends are on the field, and I turned, and there's Tim Cook from Apple standing on the field. Oh, hey Tim, you know, good to see you. There's Commissioner Goodell. You know, introduced my dad to Peyton Manning, and then and then all of a sudden there's just the normal parts after a game, right? I think I got a shower. You know, I'm gonna go shower, and then what people don't know, after the Super Bowl, you are so hungry.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't eaten for like 5.5 hours, you know? And so it was funny when we got back to the hotel, you know, Flo Rida was doing a concert, which that was crazy too, you know, but all the players were eating, all the family members were dancing and having a good time. So I just, it was an incredible experience, one I'll never forget, and one that I'm grateful for the rest of my life, and one that I earned with my teammates.
Sure. Now, what was it like working with Peyton Manning, you know, one of the greats? What was his, you know, expectation? What was your expectation towards that goal, you know, that season, excuse me, after that, you know, you guys Super Bowl run? What was your expectation, and what was his expectation working, you know, you guys worked together yourselves?
You know, not only was there an expectation of excellence, but there was an expectation of communication.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember one of the first timeouts we took that Super Bowl 50 season was because Peyton changed the play and I didn't tell the tight end next to me. You know, how he saw that in the middle of a play, I don't know. But that definitely sent the message of, hey, we're going to be moving. We're going to be doing things quickly. You got to communicate to one another. And I really credit Peyton for teaching us all a lot of things. And one of them is to ask questions. Greatness means you ask questions. You're always learning. And, you know, if you're in a meeting with Peyton Manning for 30 minutes, he's going to ask 5 questions. He knows the answers to 3 of them, but especially when we were playing, he wanted the other guys to know, okay, hey, we're looking for Tommy here on 3rd down on this play, right? Yep, that's right. Okay, good. Well, now Tommy's engaged and Tommy knows. But the other thing I loved, him and I would often be the first players on the field to work on just the little details, you know, and that's all the difference. In big games, when your nerves are high, when the moment matters and the play is going to decide your future, you have to be strong enough to have the details in mind, trust your technique, and just execute the play with your full energy. And so not only was there an expectation of excellence playing with Peyton, but also an expectation of communication.
Yeah, so speaking of Peyton Manning, your selfie with him that's a classic right there. You should have that framed up on your wall.
Yeah, I got it. It's in this photo. I got a little thing over my shoulder here. It's on the paper, but it was just unreal. You know, one of my teammates, he was in sweats. I said, and at before the game, I said, hey man, I'll give you my phone. If you know, hopefully when we win this, bring me to, you know, give me the camera. And so he just handed me the camera before that, and said, hey Peyton, say cheese. And so we looked up there, and you know, it was just a wild time. We'd just beaten the New England Patriots, the only team to have beaten a Bill Belichick team twice in the same season at that point. It was a physical game, and it was something where there's this brief moment between the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl preparation in which just going to the Super Bowl is a celebration, right? Oh my God, we're going to the Super Bowl. We did it. We are the best team in the AFC. And then it becomes, okay, now what are we going to do to win this game? But there's that brief moment. That's what both of our smiles are saying. We're just enjoying that moment. I'm so thankful I was able to capture that.
So I got to ask you, though, going back to the Super Bowl team, and obviously John Elway giving you the chance to come back, and obviously you played underneath Coach Gary Kubiak and Peyton Manning. Obviously, my guy DeMarcus Ware was on that team too. And what was it like? You guys had a talented defense, Von Miller, a loaded offense, and what was that team like, though? What was the message that Kubiak gave you when you made that Super Bowl run?
You know, one of the things Kubiak always said, and Gary Kubiak's taught me more about life than he has about football, and he taught me to be a champion, you know, but that's just the kind of coach he is. He would say before games, hey, guys, play fast. There are no mistakes. There's no mistakes today. If you make a mistake, it's on us as coaches. We didn't get you prepared. Go out there, let your personality show, and have some fun. And that just gave us so much energy. We believed in our preparation and what we could do. So I'm so grateful to Gary for that. And we had fun and we worked. We worked hard. Malik Jackson's one of my favorite teammates of all time.
Mm-hmm.
We would jaw back and forth, but you know what? We would both be there at 6:30 in the morning to watch film, to stretch, to take care of our bodies and little ailments that could affect us in the game. So we were the hardest working team. We were a team that did not care who got the credit. We had a saying from Gary Kubiak, hey, listen, there's enough pie for everybody to get a slice. So, just be a team. And I know now being a team is all the difference when it comes again in those big moments. You have to play together for each other. And we did that throughout practices, games, bye weeks, all of that.
Okay. So, Ryan, obviously after the year you won the Super Bowl with the Broncos, you went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you guys almost won the Super Bowl that year also. You went to the Conference Championship game. But what was the difference of playing with Peyton Manning and then going to big Ben Roethlisberger right after that?
I was just lucky. I thought I was in a dream. I'm like, hold on, man. You're going from Peyton Manning to Ben Roethlisberger, and both have such a mastery of the NFL, of defenses. They put their team in the right position. But playing with Ben Roethlisberger, I just learned about just so much downfield what we can do, and it was fun too. Antonio Brown's on the team, and he would do this thing, when he was open. Sometimes it would be like right after the snap, wide 80, right 80. He said, You're like, how you open already, So it was just a dynamic team, incredible players, Le'Veon Bell, David DeCastro, Alejandro Villanueva, Pouncey, all those guys, Ramon Foster. But I'll tell you, being a Steeler changed me forever. It was one of the greatest experiences I ever had in my life. Mike Tomlin is one of the best leaders I've ever learned from. And Pittsburgh Steelers fans are incredible. And it was just such a way for me to end my career.
Now, what was the energy like playing at Mile High Stadium? A lot of people don't get the chance to play at Mile High. What was the atmosphere like? What was the crowd like that people need to know about, when you go to that stadium? What was it like for you? I know it's pretty loud here, in Seattle-wise, it's pretty loud. But what was it like at Mile High?
Yeah, well, Seattle, the issue is you can't hear anything if you're the visiting team, right? But at Mile High, it's the only stadium where fans – kind of rumble their feet and bang on the bleachers. So you get this, it's third down, and you just feel the field shaking and water bottles are moving on the bench. You just feel that energy. And that's something that I really think in this pandemic season has not been talked about enough. To be able to go out and play one of the most intense physical games without fans, to me, that's a totally different experience than the way everyone's played football their whole life.
So speaking of this season, obviously two quarterbacks recently retired, Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees, and obviously you competed against them on a high level. So what was it like just seeing both of them compete from the other side, and now they're retiring? So what would you say about their careers and their legendary careers?
They're both Hall of Famers. Phillip Rivers was a guy who you hated playing against him, but would have loved him if he was on your team. Phillip Rivers, he was such a downfield threat. Him and Ben Roethlisberger changed games with the deep ball. And when you talk about Drew Brees, he's such an accurate passer. He was so creative. And he was kind of small, it's like you see him in real life. You're used to all these other quarterbacks. You're like, oh man, 6 foot, 6'1", that does look different. But, he also spoke when I was in college at the Sugar Bowl. He spoke to us at a joint team breakfast, and what he talked about in terms of being a man, being a husband, being a father, and overcoming adversity as he did with his shoulder, that really made way for Phillip Rivers as he then went to New Orleans and had success. I don't know that there's somebody who's done more for a city than Drew Brees. It was amazing to see him win a Super Bowl after Hurricane Katrina. And that's something that I don't think any player will ever be able to replicate in terms of impact and unity in that community.
Yeah. So Ryan, who do you think will win the AFC Championship game this week and the NFC Championship game to advance to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Although ever since the blowout of the Bucs on Green Bay has not been held to under 22 points. So I really think that Tampa Bay Green Bay game is going to be a lot bigger and closer than people think. I can't believe the NFL put that as the early game. But it's going to be fun to watch what Josh Allen does. I mean, Josh Allen has the greatest opportunity out of any quarterback to create a legacy. And that's crazy to say when you have a guy with Tom Brady who's maybe going for his 7th Super Bowl. But that's how big the Bills' success has been this season.
Okay. Now, who was one of your favorite, toughest opponents to go up against, on the, offensive line? Who was one of your favorite opponents to go against and block, talk trash to?
Well, Tamba Ali was just such an incredible player to compete against. I was thankful to be on his team when I played for the Chiefs. But we really had chess matches. He was the first player, too, to teach me, hey, somebody's going to watch film on you, and if you just do what you've done in the past, you're going to lose. So he was a chess game guy. DeMarcus Ware was a chess game guy as well. But I got to tell you, I loved playing against Dante Hightower. He and I had many physical battles, many choice words for each other. And I believe a lot of the respect for each other, but you can't really say that, in the NFL. Hey, man, I really respect you. No. That comes out a lot differently in the NFL. And then I got into a pretty good trash talk sequence with Vince Wilfork in a Monday night game. But it's those are the things that you love. And those are the things, because you're in those situations, you're elite. Everyone can't make it to where you are if you're trash talking against, a New England Patriot, or if you're trying to outmaneuver Tamba Ali or DeMarcus Ware. That really lets you know you're in a really elite place, and I enjoyed being there.
So I got a two-parter for you. So the first one here: how grateful are you to be in this position right now, to be able to win the Super Bowl? And it's tough. NFL is a tough business, and for you just to play the game that you love and win the Super Bowl and enjoy with your family. How grateful are you to be in this position? And also, what advice would you give these young athletes now coming up and working on their crafts and trying to achieve their goals?
Yeah, well, winning the Super Bowl is worth it. All the work is worth it. It was fantastic to share those moments with my family, moments I'll never forget. And also, I have knowledge. That few people have. I know what it takes to win. I know what doesn't matter when it comes to winning. And I can tell you, ticket requests and people's feelings about who should be at the game, that matters not at all.
Yeah.
I had at one point, in my NFL career, I was training with one trainer in a dungeon basement, kind of gym. And then after we won the AFC Championship game, I had over 200 ticket requests. Not everybody's worth your time. And most people are actually a distraction when you're focused on your goals. So knowing that, and knowing also that when you tell someone, hey, right now is not a good time for me, that if that's the right person for you, if that's the right friend, they're going to be there for you after. And I think one of the things I would tell young athletes is don't worry who you piss off, and don't worry about your friends, because those things are going to change. If you want to be great, you got to commit yourself to work. You have to choose your mindset to overcome failure. Encourage yourself with the words, I am, I can, I will. And and trust that all of your hard work is going to lead to greatness. But make sure effort is different than discipline. A lot of people give effort and confuse it with discipline. Discipline is giving that effort over and over again and sacrificing to give that effort.
So Ryan, you obviously played for 5 different NFL teams, with 3 stints with the Broncos, the Eagles, the Texans, Chiefs, and ending with the Steelers. What was different about every team you played with?
One, the facilities, you know what I mean? You got to kind of figure out, where the showers are and, where the meeting rooms are. They called me the Wanderer at first at the Texans because I didn't know where any of the meeting rooms were. And, if they left as a group, I didn't know if they were going to the cafeteria or to a team meeting. I didn't know. So that was different. And, every city's different, so I think it's 30% of Americans don't leave the city they're from, right? That's nuts, So for me, I've lived across this country. I've tasted barbecue in Houston and Kansas City, and, eaten a pierogi, in a Primanti Brothers sandwich out in Pittsburgh, and also got some good oysters while traveling with an NFL team, on the West Coast. So it allowed me to see the country and live differently and move, and also know who your friends are. When I got drafted to Denver, I had a lot of friends. When I went to Houston, about 5 of those friends kept in touch. Well, I'm so glad I went to Houston, because I really thought, that those other people mattered, and they didn't. So it's good to move. It's good to change. And I always believe people got to be on their own for at least 6 months. Move to a new city, learn a new language, and create new friends on your own.
Sure. Now, I'm going to ask you this. Now, when Peyton Manning did Omaha, did you ever do it yourself, just, in a small cadence, do it to, say, oh, he's going to do a different play now? What was it like being around something like that? You hear it all the time. You watch the games from back then. You still hear it, so people still stay in Omaha. What was that like for you, changing the play call?
We just love to be flexible. And that's a lesson for all of us in and out of sport. Flexibility creates success. Right? To be able to, if you're going to go into a play, and I've played on offenses like this, we're going to run this play. You can know as a player, this is going to get stopped. We're outnumbered, right? Whether it's physical or not, we're outnumbered. And Peyton was able to take that away and take that advantage from the defense guessing right away. And so it was always so fun, to change a play. And I always tell people, how flexible are you? Can you make an audible today? Are you willing to make an audible today? Are you willing to, sacrifice, if you're a receiver or quarterback? I mean, the thing people miss too, Peyton Manning would check into runs all the time. Most quarterbacks want to throw the football, but Peyton Manning would sacrifice his stats and whatever highlight he could create to make sure the team and the offense was able to move the ball forward. How many of us are willing to do that in our life? How many of us are flexible? And that's just another lesson that I learned in the NFL. You have to be flexible to be successful.
Yeah, so I'm a big Dallas Cowboy fan here, and so what do you think of the Cowboys' offensive line? Obviously, we've been struggling the last few years here with the offensive line, but in the past few years we had one of the best. So what do you think of their offensive line, and would you consider being an offensive line coach in the NFL one day?
It's a good offensive line. You know what I mean? Of course, you've got some Notre Dame graduates there, but I think Dallas is a fantastic stadium. I think they do a great job with their players, of taking care of them and encouraging them. So I'm not sure what you've had a lot to be a fan of as a Dallas Cowboy fan, but Jerry World's an amazing place to be. I think Dak Prescott is going to have great success in the NFL, and you got to get some talent around. Get talent around that offensive line and excellent quarterback. I think they took a step in the right direction with CeeDee Lamb, but you probably need one more weapon offensively and then a couple more defensively. Okay.
So all right. So the last two things from me here. So me and my co-host Alyssa, we partnered up with the Hugh Jackson Foundation. So please check that out. Obviously, former NFL coach trying to get back into coaching, but he's trying to help prevent human trafficking, and we're ambassadors for them. So we're trying to help kids and other people just to make the right choices. So when you get a chance, check out the Hugh Jackson Foundation. They're doing a great job. And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers?
Of course. Thank you. You guys are our true heroes. You're the true champions. You don't get a ring, but make no mistake, you're the reason why our country is moving, and you're the reason why in any type of turmoil that people feel safe, because we know we can be taken care of by the best people in the world, and we know that you're sacrificing everything. So thank you, and I hope to thank you all in person at one point in the future.
Yeah, well said. And you guys have anything else to add, Lane and Tom?
Thank you so much for doing this, Ryan.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, so
no problem, guys.
This wraps up episode 671 on the NR Hour Sports Show. Thank you, Ryan Harris, Super Bowl champ, for joining us. Keep up the great work. You're such an inspiration. I'll be posting this on all social media formats. And like I said, you and your family stay safe and keep grinding.
Thanks. You guys too. Good luck. Peace.
Thank you.